At Option Genius, we believe that you deserve freedom, financial freedom, so that you have no more worries and more than enough money. Time freedom, so that you could do what you want, when you want to do it. And choice freedom, to live your life on your terms. But the system and Wall Street are rigged against us little guys. So how do we fight back? Well, my friend, that's what this podcast is all about. My name is Alan Sama, and this is the Option Genius Podcast. Buenos dias, Genius Nation. ¿Cómo estás? How you doing? This episode, we're going to call it the Ultimate Options Trading Strategy. And really what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about option strategies and which one is the best. Okay, I got the idea for this episode thanks to a couple guys on the Option Traders Alliance group, which is our free Facebook group. If you want information about that, just search on Facebook for Option Traders Alliance or look in the show notes. We'll have a link to it there. So thanks to Dan Gibson and Ken Gilstrap for that. From what I could tell, these guys, they were just... One of them asked a question, the other one responding. There's just a couple guys. They're on the lower end of the option continuum. A couple of newer traders just looking for some kind of direction, right? And if you don't know what the option continuum is or where you are on the continuum, you can check out episode 21 and hear all about it. But it's a great question, which is the best option strategy? Because when it comes to selling options, there are well over a dozen strategies that you can use, right? You've heard all the names, all the crazy names, some of them. The Iron Condor, the credit spread, the calendar spread, which is also the time spread, the butterfly, then there's the iron butterfly, and then there's the broken wing butterfly. There's the covered call, which can also be called the buy right. There are naked options. So there's naked puts, naked calls, the straddle, the strangle, the ratio, the back spread, the box, the diagonal, the double diagonal, on and on and on. And that's just to name a few, right? And then each of these strategies can be manipulated so that there are unlimited variations. So you have, let's say the Iron Condor, you have the, some people call it the high probability Iron Condor. And then there's the low probability Iron Condor. And then there's the unbalanced Condor. And then there's, some people have been calling it the weird or, which is like a mix of the Iron Condor and the butterfly together. And there's so many different strategies out there. So the question becomes, which one is the best? Which one do I trade? Right? Because you can't do all of them. It'd be crazy. It would take you decades and decades to actually learn all of them and become good at any of them, really. If you're a new trader and you just want to quickly get up to speed, which is the easiest, the fastest, the most money-making? That's what we need to know. But before I tell you the answer, I want to talk about Simon. You see, Simon was a lot like you. He was trying to figure out all this trading stuff, and he had tried all the different techniques, different types of trading, and he was pretty fed up. Because when you spend lots of money on courses, when you spend hours and hours learning about Greeks and probabilities and volatility and all that stuff, and you still cannot make it work, you get pretty upset, right? Am I right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Because you've probably done the same things. Taking courses, watching videos, listening to podcasts like this one. I know there's a whole bunch of them out there, right? Because none of them give you the secret. And then you get really, really upset about it. Because you just want the answer. Why don't they just give you the answer? Well, I wish it was that easy. But for Simon, by the time our paths has crossed, he had spent close to 3 years learning about options. In fact, he was much more knowledgeable about certain aspects of options than I was. To this day, honestly, maybe I even should say this, but to this day, if you ask me to describe to you what gamma is, I don't think I could. I know it's important. I know it's one of the Greeks, and I know what it is. In my head, I just can't put it on paper. I'd have to look it up and look for the ways to explain it. I'd have to show you on a screen. I couldn't just simply tell you what it is. But Simon, he can do that. Simon knows all the differences. What is implied volatility versus historical volatility, and what the number should be, and how to set up the different probabilities. And he knows all about that stuff because he spent all that time learning about it, because that's what he thought was the answer. And the more he learned, the more complicated he made his trading, the more complicated he made his trades, the more intricate. He added in different indicators, some that nobody's ever heard of before. He added in all these rules. He added all this other stuff to make his trading better, to give him a better edge. I mean, that makes sense, right? When you think about it, you take a strategy and you improve it. You put your own spin on it. You craft it so that it works better, right? And then when you come up with something that you think is awesome, you back test it, right? Over and over and over and over again. And if you can't do that, then you do paper trading. And you have to do it hundreds of times. And if you can't do that, if you don't want to do that, then you have to use real money to test it. And hopefully it works. Usually, though, it doesn't. And then you end up back on the drawing board. I mean, I remember when I first got started, I wanted one simple trade that I could do month after month after month, like the Holy Grail. And I found that I really liked butterflies. So I tried to do a butterfly on McDonald's. And I came up with some rules, and then I started back testing it. And I think I back tested it for like 4 years. Month after month after month after month after month. So I had about, maybe 40, 50 trades, whatever that is, 4 times 12, 48 trades. And it was profitable. And I was ecstatic. Oh, man, this is awesome. This is going to be so awesome. And then I did it with real money. And I ended up losing, I don't know how many, I think it was like $8,000 really quickly. But that's what Simon was doing as well, And for him, it wasn't working. And that's when he came to me. And that was his main question. He's like, Alan, I know so much, but I still can't make it work. Am I doing something wrong, or does this stuff just not work? Please, Alan, tell me that all my hours and years of trying to learn this stuff has not been in vain. Because my brain is just going to explode. I can't take it anymore. My self-confidence is in the gutter. But I know so much about options. I know more about the people who write these option books. I could probably teach a college course on options. Alan, please help me. Well, I got to tell you, if this stuff didn't work, this option stuff didn't work, I would be flat broke. So I can say, for those of you who are still skeptical, that yes, it does work. And I can point out to dozens and hundreds and even thousands of people who have made it work and who it's working for. Okay. But the problem, if it's not the trading, then maybe the problem with Simon, right? It's either the trading doesn't work or the person doesn't work. Well, the person was Simon, and the problem was not Simon either. The problem was all the nonsense that we as traders and learning traders get bombarded with every single day. We get bombarded on the financial media. We get bombarded in our emails. We get bombarded on Facebook and Twitter and all over social media. I mean, the ads are all over the place, right? And all the ads are people pretending that they are amazing traders making oodles and oodles of money. And the only way to get the same results is to pay them to teach us what they're doing. That's the only way to do it. That's the magic bullet. That's the new thing. There's this new trading system, or this new indicator, or there's this new chart pattern, or this new whatever that we have to pay to learn how to use so that we can also become wonderfully rich and super successful. It's like everybody else out there is so smart and rich and successful, but we are not. No matter what we try, it doesn't work. Am I right? Do you feel that frustration? Have you been through this, or am I by myself? I don't think I'm not by myself, because we get emails every day from people. And, Ken and Dan were talking about this same exact thing in the group today, right? So you know what I'm talking about. So here is what you need to do. Here is how you overcome this. You stop listening to the noise. Stop believing all the crap. Go back to the basics, back to the fundamentals. The truth is that every single strategy that I mentioned earlier works. There are people out there making money with each one. So you can make money if you only trade covered calls. Yes, you can. You can be profitable consistently if you only trade covered calls. You can do the same thing if you only do strangles. You can do the same thing if you only do ratio spreads, and on and on and on. Okay? You don't need to be a master in everything. You don't need to understand 14 different ways to adjust your trade. You only need one strategy. And that's the answer. That is the ultimate strategy. That's the best strategy. It's the one that you choose. The one that makes the most sense to you. Okay? There are lots of different strategies out there because they have different uses. That's true. And once you become a very advanced trader, once you are on the upper end of the continuum, if you're on level 9 or level 10, and you are already consistently making money, then yes, go into the other strategies. Until then, you stick to the one strategy that makes the most sense to you. That's the one you start with. Or for many of you, that's the one you restart with. And that is the one you keep doing until you figure it out. Because that's what I had Simon do. We identified together, out of all the different strategies, he preferred to trade credit spreads. So that is what he focused on. That's what he spent his time on to figure out. He spent time on figuring out the best way to enter a credit spread. He tested dozens of ways to adjust, and then he tested exit strategies, a whole host of different exit strategies. Eventually, he discovered the best way to trade credit spreads that worked for him. Now, maybe his way won't work for you, but that's okay with him because it works for him, right? And that is all he does now. He only does credit spreads. He doesn't bother with iron condors or naked puts. He only does the credit spreads his way. And he has molded the strategy so that now he calls them LayUp spreads. A LayUp spread basically is a credit spread, but with Simon's special magic. His method to enter, to manage, and to exit. And if you want more information about the LayUp spread and why they work so amazingly well, you can do so at simonsayoptions.com. Okay? Now, I hope this makes sense to you. The best strategy is the one that makes the most sense to you. And the best way to learn how to trade is to just focus on it until it works for you. Now, it might get boring. It might get repetitious. It might get monotonous. Yes, maybe, but that's still what you need to do, okay? I know we think that trading is all sexy and high-flying and buy this, sell that, do this, do that, but the reality is, if you trade well, most of it is extremely boring, and then there are certain pockets of craziness. But most of your trading should be boring. If you are consistently making money, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're flying by the seat of your pants, and if you're putting on dozens and dozens of trades, all different types, all different strategies on all different stocks that you never even heard of before, because the chart looks good, then you are in for a very wild ride. And so is your account balance, right? With our account balance, what do we want? Do we want up and down roller coasters? No. We want slow and steady increase. And that's because in order to have that, you have to be trading in a way that is actually boring because you know what you're doing. That's why it's boring, because you've mastered it, because you've excelled at it. The alternative is to do what you're doing right now, jumping around from strategy to strategy. And I know what you're thinking. Say, hey, Alan, what about diversification? Don't I need to diversify? If I have maybe some earnings trades over here, or maybe I have some naked calls over here, or maybe I have some, some buck spreads over here. Yeah, you should diversify if you have an account that is well over 6 figures and you are already consistent and profitable. That's it. Right there. If you are over 6 figures, and I'm talking about like mid 6 figures, 400,000, 500,000, more than that, and you are already consistent and profitable, then you can diversify as much as you want. If you're on the top end of the continuum, levels 9, level 10, then you are making money. So you are going to stick with what you know automatically. You're going to go to the bread and butter, and you're going to do those every month or every week or whenever your time frame is. And then with a little bit of extra cash, you're going to try other stuff. That's a smart way to do it. Okay? If you don't have over 6 figures, if you're not consistent, if you're not profitable already, then forget about diversification until you can make money with one strategy. Month after month, trade after trade. You have to be consistently profitable before you add another strategy to your arsenal. Are you getting this? Is it sinking in? Yes? I hope so. And anybody that tells you otherwise is full of it and probably just wants to sell you something. That's the truth. Okay? So stop all the noise. Stop listening. Stop jumping around. Okay? Because the noise is there. The offers will always be there. If it's not options, it'll be Bitcoin. If it's not Bitcoin, it's going to be marijuana stocks. If it's not marijuana stocks, it's going to be sports betting. That's the newest thing that's going to come on, right? The Supreme Court just announced on Monday that states can now make it legal to bet on sports. Well, guess what? There's going to be stocks on sports betting, and they might even have options on stocks betting, on sports and betting and all this stuff. Who knows what they're going to come out with in the future? That's going to be the new hottest thing. But if you keep jumping from one to the another, to the another, to the another, you're never going to get good at anything. You're never going to be profitable. You're never going to be consistent. So go back to the basics. Back to the fundamentals. Choose one strategy and work on it until you know it inside out and you are profitable, because that is the name of the game. That is the goal. That is the only thing that matters. I don't care what strategy you use. I don't care how you do it. I don't care when you do it. If you are profitable, you are winning. That's the only way to know if you're winning. I don't care how much you know. I don't care if you know more than me. I don't know if you know more history than me. I don't care if you know more math than me, more about statistics, more about options, more about everything. If you are not profitable, it doesn't matter. So go back to the fundamentals. Go back to the basics. One strategy. And you focus on it, you work on it, you back test it, you paper trade it, you real money trade it until you are profitable. That's it. That's the answer. Okay? Now, if you can't figure it out, if you've already tried, you tried your best, and you can't do it, then reach out to me. Maybe I can point you in the right direction. Maybe I can work with you like I did with Simon. And we can identify what it was that works best for you, or that makes the most sense for you, and then how to actually implement it. Because in the beginning, you don't need complicated stuff. You don't need complicated indicators. You don't need complicated chart patterns. You need a strategy that you understand, that makes sense to you, and you need to do it in a way where you can explain it to a third grader. And then if you can do that, then you tweak it. Then you work on it. Then you look at, like Simon did, you look at the entrance of the trade. You look at the management of the trade. You look at the exit of the trade. And then you improve your percentages. Okay? That's how it works. And right now, Simon, like I said, he's only doing one strategy. And yes, he is well over 6 figures in his trading account. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to be doing anything else. I know people who only do one iron condor every single month. They do it on the same underlying. They do it on an index. And they trade literally over $100,000 worth of one iron condor every month. That's the entire trade. That's the whole strategy. One iron condor, 6 figures in that condor every month. Right? I hope this makes sense. I hope this is sinking in. I hope you got to this. And then finally, no matter which strategy you choose, whether it's the condor, the credit spread, the ratio, the butterfly, I don't care what it is, whatever it is, no matter which one you choose, make sure that the odds are in your favor. Peace. Want to know how to choose the perfect option trade for every trading situation? It's easy. Just download our free trading map and it'll tell you. Just go to optiongenius.com/map.